listen up. Like,
I'm right, Lewis.
TED Talks are fucking... I used to think they were good, okay? And then I watched a couple that just was shit. There was like this guy who was like, what would it be like if you replied to all of your spam emails? I did it for a year. I spent a year of my life replying to spam emails, and this is my journey. I'm really quirky and different. Just come with me on my stupid fucking journey. And some other next guy comes to stage, and he's like, do you know what it would be like if you woke up every day at like 4:30 in the morning? That's what I did for a year. I got up at 4:30 in the morning. This is my journey. This is how it changed my life.
Come with me on my stupid fucking journey.
I was really fucking tired all the time, and I didn't really know what to do with myself when I woke up at 4:30 because it was dark and there was nothing to do. It's like, but I got so much done. I got so much done in the mornings because the mornings were so much longer. When I woke up at 4:30, the mornings were so much longer. You wouldn't believe. They were about 2.5 hours longer. It was like,
that's
what
TEDx.
are you fucking talking about?
You're talking about TEDx. That's not TED, there's TEDx. That's different. They let anybody give a TEDx talk. I could give a fucking TEDx talk, I bet. If I wrote to the TEDx people and said, I want to do a TEDx talk, they'd say, okay, we'll slot you in. Like, anybody can do it. You don't have to be clever. The proper TED Talks, those people like economists and scientists and researchers and shit. TEDx. Geez, some guy walks in off the street. That's it. They'll give him a TEDx talk. It's completely different. Yeah, I want to give a TEDx talk about Paulie no-nos. What a piece of shit he is, all right? All right, here's my fucking pitch. All right, listen up. Here's a picture of Paulie no-nos. Let me tell you, this guy's got no nose. That's why we call him Paulie no-nos. He's a bum. He owes me $50. He keeps avoiding me. Hey, what are you going to do? Forget about it. Applause.
I can't even punch him in the nose. He doesn't have a nose. I want to redefine pornography. Like, I think that the staple sort of, hey, your pizza's here. Oh, but I don't have any money to pay you with, you know, like, it's been done.
When was the last time you watched?
We're sick of watching that pornography, okay? We want to see something new and fresh and, like, you know, how about like two people working on an oil rig and it's like a forbidden love? That's the pornography I want to see, okay? I'm sick of the pizza boy.
Have you not noticed the way porn has changed? There's no story. Where's the story? No, it's just there's a woman there. She shows you her tits and she shows you all her goodies, and then some erect penis just hovers into view, and boom, we're at it. There's no story.
You know, and the potty mouth as well. Hovers it's like, view. You know, come on, give me a bit of dialogue. You know, like let's have like a bit of lead up. Like, oh gosh, looks like there's been a rupture in Sector 6. We better go check it. Oh, I've got a huge boner right now. Well.
And then it just turns into oil rig management. I would love to watch some of that.
Know? That's just an example. You know, there could be like other stuff. You know, like what about cops on the beat? You know, be like, yeah, we got a 187 reported at Frank's liquor store. Can you copy? Sorry, I'm blowing a guy in the back of my cop car.
Unable to copy. I have a code 69 going on in the back of this car.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
69, oh my God.
Someone needs to clap for that. Wow.
Somebody needs to get on all of this because I'm getting bored over here, okay?
Yeah,
like the same,
I feel you.
It's the same shit over and over and over, and like I want a bit of pizzazz.
Pizzazz.
I don't want pizza, I want pizzazz, okay? Like let's take the pizza out of pornography, okay? Never again should they make a pornography video or movie with that storyline in it. They do. I'm sorry.
Like 20 years ago. Everyone has their all little weird individual quirks. My mum's quirk is that she can only drive barefoot, which is really strange.
What?
So she gets like into a car, will take her shoes off or whatever they are,
or whatever,
and then
whatever
they are.
Clogs.
They might be boots, they might be high heels. It depends on the day. Right? Take her clogs off.
Yeah, she take her big clogs off.
Take her wellies off.
Taking her big rubber boots off.
Drive barefoot. Now I've tried doing that, and it gives you a lot more sensitivity. Okay, it's a little bit like imagine instead you're touching a woman's boobages.
What?
Right, but you got gloves on.
Hang on a second. What are we talking? Okay? Are we talking about your mum's boobs now?
No. Imagine you're touching a lady's boobages.
Okay. Can I imagine I'm touching your mum's?
You've got nice. But you've got gloves on.
Okay.
That's what driving a
like
car is like
gloves?
with shoes on.
Gloves don't fit.
Okay, let's not imagine the boob thing. Let's get away from that. Imagine. No, you have to be feeling something. You have to be doing something active. Right. Okay.
like
something like doing the pedals in a car.
Oh God. Okay.
I'm trying to find a real world analogy. I couldn't think of anything
so I'm
other
doing
than.
I'm feeling your mum's boobs and I'm doing something. There's lots of thrusting.
Okay, now imagine you're putting gloves on. It's difficult, but you can still do it. In the 21st century.
All we need now is for your computer to emit smells. So, like, you know, for people who like to have like a little fart in their face or whatever.
Yeah.
Big
in Brazil, that seems to be always. All
we need, right, is a machine which will fart in your face.
Daddy's computer is farting again.
And then we're basically at Star Trek. You know, we're in the future there.
Pretty much, yeah.
Computer, Earl Grey hot, and please fart in my face as well.
That's a more realistic
Daddy
version
needs a puffle in the face.
He would be doing in his spare time in the future, definitely.
Yeah.
He would go back to his cab. He would be thinking all day, oh God, I've spent the whole day exploring the galaxy. I really need someone to fart on my face. Quickly, I must go back to my cabin and sleep now.
That was Picard's like, thing, though, wasn't it? It was like, Deanna Troi, please leave me alone in my quarters. Computer, fart in my face.
Fart in my face. In 3, 2, 1.
I'm ready.
I need to go.
My mouth is open. Engage.
Engage fart.
Brown alert. The thing is, he was always like, I need to go and practice that funny penny whistle that I've got. So do you remember he had that little whistle he was trying to play for his own
that was a really good story, though,
flute.
Pflax.
Right. Space flute.
But I think he would say, like, if you hear strange tooting noises coming from my ready room,
my quarters.
It's the space flute. It's my space flute.
But they could totally prank other people on board. It's like, computer, please fart in Data's face. In 3, 2, 1, fart.
Captain, I am experiencing such a strange sensation. It's almost like disgust. That was so eggy. my skin is going pruny, and I feel like maybe I'm about to die.
Computer, what have you been eating? For goodness sake.
Do you reckon, because Data could do that? Like, if the captain said to him, Data, I have a unusual request. My farting machine is broken, and Daddy needs to get his fart on. So if you could just kneel on my desk, I'll sit in my chair. And, Mr. Data, fart in my face. You do the little head turn that he does. I find this request unusual, Captain. I don't
Shut up, Data. It's an order.
Make with the farty fart, Data. Captain's orders. That's what would happen, I think.
The thinner and more healthy they look, the worse their farts smell.
You know what my grandma told me one time?
It's diet. Healthy diet. What
it's kind of related to this. I think I was talking about Wayne Gretzky one time, who's a famous
to your
hockey
grandma?
player. Yeah, to my grandma. I was young, and I was into hockey at the time. So I'm like, you know, Wayne Gretzky, this, that, the other. I think I read an article about it or whatever. And she was like,
scene,
you know, Wayne Gretzky is a great hockey player.
It's snowed all day, and you have gone out. Your mum has said, hey, can you take this big pack of peas over to your grandma? Gosh, God, she needs them. And so you've gone, oh, Gran, I want to play Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Mum, sorry. And she's like, oh, all right, fine. After a game of Street Fighter 2 Turbo. So you do a favour for your mum, you go out to your gran. He's trudged through the snow, the Canadian summer, still snowing, it's freezing. You trudge all the way through. There's like milk frozen to people's like doorsteps. I'm just trying to set the scene, okay?
All right.
You get to her house, right? She lives in like a log cabin. Okay, there's smoke coming out. There's like fir trees all around it, covered in snow.
Okay,
it's made of gingerbread. All right. The door opens.
She's got that comical old granny voice too that Lewis is about to do.
she's there on the doorstep.
Yeah.
Oh, good morning, Chris.
That's right.
Oh, it's wonderful to see you. Thanks for visiting your old gran.
Hi, Grandma.
It's been so lonely.
God, I haven't been out in the woods for a while to your log cabin made of gingerbread. Man, this place never changes.
Please come in and warm yourself by the oven.
Oh, yeah, okay.
She says.
Yeah, and then so I say, Grandma, I trudged all the way out here with my snowshoes and my pet polar bear to tell you that, man, I really like Wayne Gretzky. Like, I just think that this guy is a great hockey player. He's really good. You know, he's done some great things. I was reading about him and stuff, and my grandma turns around to me in her gingerbread log cabin with the comical voice that Lewis just did, and she says, you know what? That's great. It's really great to admire somebody and look up to them. But you know what? Now imagine them sitting on the can taking a shit. And I was like, what? And then I imagined Wayne Gretzky sitting there, pants around his ankles, you know, reading the paper or like farting around on his iPad or whatever, taking a shit. And I thought, I get it. You know what? They're just people.
Because I wanted to fucking have an understanding.
Okay, you're not more educated now that you've read Twilight. Okay, all you've done is waste your fucking time.
I don't listen to other people's opinions to let them decide for me, right? I choose and do my own research and find my own fucking way through life. I do not say, this guy said anime was a fucking weeaboo shit, therefore I am agreeing with that asshole, right? I do not agree with what anyone says. I fucking forge my own way based off my own fucking life experience and learning. I'm not willing to accept, right, what other people say. There's a lot of drama and a lot of hassle around Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey and this shit, and they don't come along, and they're not very hard to read. I read it in like fucking 2 days because it's written by like a child. The writing is fucking as big as Harry Potter. It might as well be Harry Potter. Yeah. It's, you know, I'm just telling you guys that you ought to not just prescribe to this pre-selected vision of the world and not make up your own mind or go in and argue with me when you haven't read it, when you haven't watched anime. You can't argue with me when you haven't watched it.
I have watched anime. I haven't watched every anime.
I've watched some.
Who cares what? I have to have watched every anime and done like a thesis on anime and really analysed it and sat down and
dissertation is ready.
In the lab. Yeah, I've watched some anime.
You've watched anime. What anime have you watched?
I have as well,
I watched some of that Attack on Titan or whatever it was called. The thing with the giant people that come and eat the villagers. And I watched some One Punch Man at Shane's request. Akira, of course.
And you didn't like those two series at all?
I thought Attack on Titan was super bad, and I thought it was absolutely shockingly melodramatic. All the characters were incredibly one note. The acting was terrible. I thought the whole concept itself was okay.
Did you watch a dub of it?
No, I watched it with subtitles.
Okay.
But my problem is
you're tearing me
that
apart
the characters in anime are so fucking out of a box. Like, every character is, like, lifted from a box. You know that character the moment you see them. And the voice actor they choose for that guy is like, I know this character. And I know what they're going to do. And they cannot convey emotion with subtlety in anime. I've seen a ton of them. They all do it. If someone's upset, they make them shake. And they'll grit their teeth.
That is what they do,
and then they'll shout something in Japanese. And everyone will go, huh? And they'll sort of have that shocked look. And then someone will come in and say something. And they'll go, like that. In every fucking one. It's always like it's almost like that sort of classic Italian character that there is. I can't remember what the fuck he's called. You see him in restaurants. He's like a clown. He's wearing black and white.
Says everything twice.
He tell me 2 times, they call him.
Oh, for God's sake.
So, no, but the point is that character was like a staple of Italian theatre in that period. Like, he was in a bunch of shit, and he was the same guy and all that shit. And I'm like, why don't they make up their own characters? Why do they have to have this fucking asshole in there? Like, but people used to do that. You know, they'd have like a carbon copy character that would be familiar to the audience and known. And I see the same thing in anime. I see very high concept stuff. Like the whole Attack on Titan thing as a concept, I was like, wow, you know, this is pretty cool.
And you didn't like One Punch Man at all?
It's just stupid. It's just like it's
a comedy anime. It's a joke.
It's not fucking funny. Like I'm sorry, but it's not funny.
It is funny and it's good. Like, I don't know. This is weird. It's kind of like arguing with someone who is a Christian, right? And they know that they're gonna hate atheism, right? So they go into looking at this evolution bullshit with this fucking really cynical like stink eye, and they're like, well, I'm expecting it to be terrible, and it's terrible. It's how could this possibly be? You know, God obviously made a banana so a human could hold on to it. I can't possibly believe that a banana would have evolved any other kind of way. And they're just, it feels like such an old man. I don't know why I'm even trying to argue.
I'll tell you why. Because so far your argument for anime has been about attacking people who don't like anime and bigging up yourself as some kind of amazing brainiac who's sitting around absorbing, stroking his chin.
I'm at the cutting edge of culture.
No, this anime
I'm watching cartoons.
And I'm just saying that I've watched anime and I don't like it. I'm not saying don't watch anime. I'm just saying I don't fucking like it. I think it's really, really stupid, and I don't understand how people can get so into it. People go, it's amazing. I'm like, no, it's really not, to me, amazing. So please don't bang on about it. That's all I'm saying.
Such a generic way of saying it. It's like saying I don't like film. I don't like movies. I don't like books. Right? It's like saying that. That's what it's like when you say I don't like anime.
A genre of
a
film.
genre. Yeah.
Yeah, but anime isn't that. There's like anime about it's fucking soap opera.
There's like subgenres within it, but it is definitely a genre.
It's like saying I don't like television. Anime just means animated stuff. You know, you like animated films. You like fucking Big Hero 6.
It's not like that at all. There is a style of artwork. There's a style of characterization. There's a style of the melodrama and the way. Yeah. It's got its own. Like Sip says, it's a genre.
It's got its. It definitely has a formula to it.
It's very formulaic, very much so. Like for instance, I don't tend to enjoy movies.
Well, you're wrong though.
Where the poster for the movie is a picture of 4 or 5 people looking in slightly different directions with a storm or a coastline, and it'll be called something like the House of Woe.
Witches.
And it's just going to be 2.5 hours of people having conversations, and it's so deep. It's like I don't care for those movies. That's a genre of movie.
I don't watch romantic comedies.
Right, I don't like romantic comedies. But Lewis, what about so-and-so romantic comedy? I could mention one that's actually good.
Well, I'd watch it.
And then you'd be like, oh, I don't believe you're just writing off romantic comedies. Yeah, on the whole, I think they're fucking awful.
Pflax. No, I am never a person who will say to you, I'm not watching that, right? You suggest something to me, I will watch it. Right. I will say, okay, I'll try it out.
Watch the video I'm going to upload tomorrow of me taking a dump on a pile of anime DVDs. Do that.
A really liquidy one.
Christ. You can't really know what a dog's thinking. I'm not telling you what the answer is. I'm just telling you it's an extremely complex question. The way Zen works is that students are given a question like that. They're supposed to spend a day studying it and then come back and tell their answer to the master. And if their master thinks the answer is reasonable, they'll give them another question. But if not, then they'll go and spend another day thinking about it.
All right, turn to the answers page in the book and let me know what the Zen answer is to that question.
There isn't an answer.
Come on,
there's got to be one.
This is the worst quiz book I've ever heard of.
This is not a panel show with a set. Like, it's not a quiz, it's not a pub quiz.
Give us another one. I want a good one. That one sucked, the other one sucked. Give us a good one. I'm not going to ponder
I want
that.
One of those ones like, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's around to hear it, does it make a noise thing? Like I can think about.
It does, but let's have another one. Let's have one that's actually like that kind of shit, that vein.
Okay, a monk told Joshu.
Joshu again,
Yeah,
this guy.
This is Joshu. I've just entered the monastery. Please teach me.
Yeah.
So Joshu asked, have you eaten your rice porridge? The monk replied, I have eaten. Joshu said, then you better wash your bowl. And at that moment, the monk was enlightened.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. What the fuck?
I think, honestly, if I had that much spare time on my hands, I would not be reading that shit. I gotta be honest. Like, I might even consider watching anime before I read that.
For real. That is my endorsement of anime. That's the biggest endorsement you'll ever hear. I'm with Sips on this one. My review of that book is I would actually rather watch anime.
I would rather watch a dog lick a shit out of his ass.
Hang on. Okay, hang on. You are a dad, right? So you now have to have a handkerchief in your pocket, okay, in case a child gets a nosebleed, or something gets spilled and you have to wipe it up. Handkerchiefs,
are you serious?
Are so useful. My dad would save the day.
We have a suitcase that we take everywhere with us that has every possible thing a child could ever need at any given.
What are you talking about?
Because that's what you do when you have kids. It's not
like a fucking defibrillator. What's in there?
It's not a suitcase. It's like a big fucking bag that has like diapers in it, wipes, bottles, like fucking soothers, like everything. It has everything in it. So no, I'm not going to put a fucking handkerchief in my pocket. I'm just going to put it in the bag with all the other shit that we carry around everywhere.
Tough shit. You're going to have to.
No,
you're going to have to at some point. It's going to tick over.
I'm not going to do it, and you can't
your
make
age
me
is
either.
going to tick over, and you're going to think, do you know what I need today? A handkerchief.
Fuck.
And then, do you know what? I'm going to buy you a pack of handkerchiefs when I come over next, and you're going to say, actually, Lewis, god damn, do you know what? I've been using that handkerchief you gave me every day. It was so useful.
Yeah.
You're
going to get my initials embroidered on that as well?
Yeah, what are they?
I'm not telling you. I don't want that shit.
Okay, they're not too bad. I just wanted. I didn't want to. If I couldn't get them for Frank Underwood, for example. You know?
Frank Underwood, yeah. Get me a handkerchief with Frank Underwood's initials embroidered into it. That would be nice. That would be really good. And as a joke, when you come over, you're like, all right, come on, Sips, let's see the handkerchief. And I pull it out, and there's just a big shit stain on it. There you go. I've wiped
and that's what you got when you wiped your keyboard down.
I wiped my keyboard, and I wiped a big log of shit off my keyboard. Anyway, listen
when
we're
going to
come back next time, Lewis, and we're going to talk about something a little bit nicer than congealed Cheeto residue on my keyboard and shit and wiping my ass with a handkerchief, okay?
Is multi-purpose. It is like the wipes before there were wipes. You know, my dad always had a handkerchief. It was always there for emergencies, you know? There was always some emergency. You could put it tight over your head like a hat, you know? You could, use it for all sorts of things that I can't think of now, but he found ways. It's a dad handkerchief thing. We're not going to talk about it anymore.
Stop crying about it and get out there and earn it, you big babies. That's my message to millennials.
I think millennials are quite happy in terms of their outlook. You know, I think they're more upbeat than the older generations are.
They're all like bohemians and stuff too, aren't they? You know, millennials traditionally all wear turtlenecks, hang out in coffee shops. They have like a lot of Apple products.
Yeah,
goatees.
They're very liberal. They're very socially liberal in terms of they want.
They would never fight back if they got mugged.
They care about organic food
Generation X,
and gay rights.
If you're part of Generation X and you got mugged at knife point, you'd fucking fight back, okay?
Yeah.
Because that's the generation that you're from. If you're a millennial, you're a pussy, okay? You get mugged at knife point, you're like crying and pissing your pants, and you can't get your wallet out of your pocket fast enough to give it over and stuff. And that's the difference.
That is the difference, yeah.
That's the difference right there.
But also, those millennials, they probably wouldn't have any money in their wallet, okay?
No.
It'd be Bitcoins. They pay for everything on their iWatch, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but they'll be mugged.
They'd start laughing at the mugger. They'd be like, like I carry my Bitcoins around in my pocket.
But even then, they'd probably just say, oh, you know, take my phone, you know, here you go. And because I know I can just get a new one from insurance
from my dad.
or whatever from my dad.
My dad, who's like the president of a Fortune 500 company. Because everyone's dad is nowadays, aren't they?
Or they're looking forward to tweeting about it. They're like, I can't wait to get home and tweet about being
mugged. Wait to tweet about this.
This is such a good
traumatic experience. Yeah.
A couple of months ago, I found some mold growing in the back on the wall of one of the cupboards. Okay, in my flat. Have I told you this?
Yeah.
I have told you this.
No, you haven't. I don't recall any mold.
And so there's like some black mold, okay, growing in the back of my cupboard, and it was a cupboard that I used to just store crap. So when I moved into the flat, it had a lot of crap in it, right? Like a bunch of broken chairs and an old lamp and stuff like that. And because it's a tiny flat, and I couldn't be asked to I didn't want to chuck them away because they were on the inventory, you know. And if I left, okay, the flat, or if I chucked them away when I left, the inventory would say 3 chairs, right? So I didn't want to chuck them away because then they would say, oh, okay, you need to pay for 3 new chairs, right? So anyway, I had this cupboard full of crap like duvets, pillowcases, all this stuff that had been left that I didn't want to use, right?
And it went all fucking moldy?
And so I put it all in this moldy cupboard, And so a lot of it, went all moldy and stuff. And so
Was it the duvet that your great nan gave to you?
No, it was all the flat stuff. It was all stuff from in the flat.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So anyway, I took pictures of it all. So the first thing you should always do, okay, everyone, listen to this. This is really useful. We have smartphones these days.
Yeah.
You can take pictures of fucking everything. Do so, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
including yourself.
that point will become more relevant as this story goes on. But I took a load of pictures of everything, and I told him basically. I told the letting agents, and they said, "Oh yeah, no, okay, we'll send the landlord round." And so one day the landlord comes round, but he said I'd like to come round, and so I said, "Okay, I'll meet you." And so he came round, and he had a look, and he was like, "This is clearly your fault."
Did you make a big steamy pot of pasta?
No, he said, no, of course I didn't. What the fuck? Anyway, he said, "This is clearly your fault. You must have spilled a load of water in this cupboard." Okay, and I said,
"Right,
sure." And he said, "I want you to clean it up." And I said, "Sure." Right? And so because I didn't want to deal with this asshole.
Sounds like a very friendly exchange so far.
And I said to him, "I don't think it is that, right? But if some more mold comes back in this cupboard, on your head be it, okay? I'm not taking any responsibility." Anyway, cut forward a month, okay? I don't use that spare room. I've taken everything out of that cupboard. I look in that room. The mold has spread. I cleaned it up, okay? I cleaned all the mold up and I painted it all over. But the mold now has spread across the entire wall of the spare bedroom, right? And it's a fucking nightmare in there, right? It's like, holy shit. And I'm like actually now like slightly nervous to be in my flat because of all the mold in here. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, so I took a few pictures, sent it back to the people. And, a week goes by and nothing. And a week goes by and nothing. And so I'm like, I told them, what the fuck? At least I've got a record of the emails where I told them. I've got pictures of when, of it getting worse. It's like I'm totally safe, right? In terms of because I read about these people who got sued by their landlord because they didn't report mold that there was in a property that they rented, okay, and the landlord sued them for more than their deposit. So normally, like when you're in a flat, you think, oh, okay, here's another thing about being in a flat. You pay a deposit when you move in, and you think that's the most that they can possibly charge you. Like you could wreck the flat, and they think, oh well, I've only got a £2,000 deposit, so I could just it's never going to get worse than that, even if I completely fuck it up. But no, that's not true at all. If you fuck a flat up badly, they can sue you and it'll take claim damages off you and make you pay a lot more than your deposit. So the letting agency say we're sending around a guy, okay, and so I'm like, okay, a guy. When's he coming? They say, when's it convenient? Because they have to arrange it with me, and so in fact they can't even really get in to do anything unless they give me a date and notify me by mail. Normally, they have to notify me by mail at least a week in advance or with reasonable notice, right? They can't just turn up unannounced. Or they can ring on the doorbell, but they're certainly not allowed to come in unannounced. Anyway, fucking some maintenance guy comes and I meet him, and he's like this guy who just absolutely stinks for some reason of sweat. And I'm like, holy shit. Anyway, I show him the mold. He's like, oh, yeah, it's quite a lot of mold there. And I'm like, yeah. And he starts rubbing himself all over the wall, like touching it all over the place. Like, fucking, not scared at all.
No fucking clothes on.
And he's like, it's really warm. It must be the hot water pipe next door that's burst. Obviously, it's probably a lot worse on their side. Oh, yeah, by the way, the reason I looked in the spare room was because I got a notice stuck on my door by the building manager who said there's been a lot of leaks in some of these. Some of these flats weren't built very well. It's just some of the pipes have been leaking.
Where the fuck you might want to check. Live?
It's like a brand new flat in a fancy place.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, brand new ones are always the worst. That's why you should always get an old place, man. They're tried, tested, and true.
Made of actual bricks. Rather than a cupboard. I mean, they make them out
of cardboard now. New places are made out of shit.
New places are fucking. You pay like £300,000 for a place made out of shit, fucking tiny. Yeah. It's garbage. You got to think like it's sad. Really, it's really sad that house prices they can't stay this high much longer because
they won't. There'll be a crash. Don't worry.
Honestly,
you'll be fine.
I'm looking forward to it. But it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm fine. I don't own my own place, so it's okay. But it doesn't matter. Even if I did, it's fine. Anyway, who cares?
Right.
Look.
Yeah. Okay.
So he fucked off.
Yeah.
And then a week later, I'm just sitting here in my. So this was yesterday. A week later, I'm just sitting here in my pajamas and my dressing gown, and I hear the doorbell ring.
I mean,
now, the doorbell.
Did this whole thing happen while you were in your pajamas? Because that's
most
weird
of it
too.
did. Yeah, most of this all happens in pajamas. Yeah,
so the landlord and the pipe inspector all came over, and there you are sitting in your pajamas.
Well, no, okay.
Thing is, you know, you're saying that your landlord's a cunt, but if you want to be taken seriously, maybe put a fucking suit on next time before somebody comes over.
So listen, so yesterday, right? I'm very organized with my schedule because I have to be, right? I'm very organized. I turn up to everything on time. I very rarely am late for things, okay? Right? Because it annoys me, right? And so I have a schedule, and it's not a diary, it's a schedule. So I have it on Google Docs. We all have one. You know, I can look at you and I can show you, you know what schedule is. I can show you what I was doing 2 weeks ago at 10, at 2, at 4, whatever, okay?
Yeah,
and I know
very organized.
When I hear now, if the doorbell of my flat rings, that means there's someone right outside. Now that means they've gone through 2 security doors to get outside my flat. Okay. Now most of the time, it's people. If their doorbell rings, it's going to be someone, one of my neighbors or something like that, who might want, I don't know, a can opener, whatever. I don't know what neighbors might want, but who knows?
That doesn't happen, does it?
Yeah, it's happened before.
Your neighbors actually come over and ask you for shit. You gotta fucking move. Holy shit. Your place sounds really bad, like in every way.
Well, it's only happened a couple of times, okay? So it doesn't happen very often. Or it's.
I mean, I've lived in a lot of places.
It was the police, right? And they were like, "Hey, we've looked at your internet browser history. We saw that you bought a set of rubber pants, and you know."
Oh no! And you were like, "Yeah, I don't fucking care." And guess what, motherfucker? Yes, right. I've got them on under my jeans right now. And you pulled your pants right down. They're like, "Sir, we're going to take you in. That is unacceptable."
Anyway, so the doorbell rings. And I'd say when the doorbell rings in places that I live, 90% of the time I don't answer it. Okay? Right. That's just who I am. Right? I just don't answer the door. I don't answer the door. Now, sometimes I will sneak up very, very quietly to the door and look through the peephole at the person in the corridor.
Of your own door?
Yeah. To see who it is.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay? Outside, yes. I get you.
Yeah. And then I will silently back off so they don't think I'm there and they'll leave me alone. Okay? I didn't do it in this case. I just thought, because I can't remember what I was doing, but I was like I am now. So I'm wearing a pair of pajama bottoms. Okay? I'm wearing an old t-shirt. I'm wearing a dressing gown, which is white and woolly and fluffy, and I wash it about once every 3 weeks, so it kind of gets a bit grungy after a while, but I do wash it, okay?
Sure.
And I'm wearing a pair of socks, okay? That's all. Anyway, I hear that terrible... I'm getting really nervous already talking about it. I hear that terrible sound of a key turning in the lock, okay?
Oh, no!
I'm like...
So you rush to put your clothes on
What the fuck? No, so I get my... I was like... First of all, I was like terrified because I thought...
Jeez.
And also I was really, really pissed off because I thought, who is letting themselves into my flat unannounced? Okay, so I went up to the door with my phone and I took pictures of the person who was coming in the door as they were coming in the door, right?
And who was it? Who was it?
It was obviously my fucking landlord letting himself in. Unannounced, uninvited, thinking, he must be at work or something.
Yeah.
So I took a load of pictures.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And I sent them to the agency saying, "Are you aware that this landlord just lets himself into people's properties unannounced?"
Send it to the fucking police next time. See how he likes that.
Well,
sir, we're going to have to take you in. Seems that you've been letting yourself into somebody's flat with a key.
If you're a woman,
fucking asshole.
Right? If I was a woman, that would have been a lot scarier. Okay, and it's nice that we have smartphones these days because if I was a woman, like I would, maybe even I would do this as a man. The thing is, if I hadn't recognised him as the landlord, the first thing I would have done is tweet that picture out. I would have been like, "There's a man coming to my flat right now," and I would have tweeted that, and then I would have said to him, "Hello, sir. Whoever you are, you've just illegally entered my flat. I've posted a picture of your face onto my Twitter feed in case you're going to murder me. So I suggest you leave right the fuck now."
Is that what you said to him?
No.
Or you wanted to say that to him? You had a dream about it later.
I said, "Oh, hello."
Like, fuck, I should have said
and
that
he said,
to him.
"Oh, hello. I've come to look at the mold." And I said, "We met before." And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "I told you that if the mold came back, it was your fault. because I didn't do it. And he said, oh, did you? And I said, yeah. And then he looked at the mold. He was fucking horrified, right? He was like shitting his pants. I was like, this is pretty bad, isn't it? And then he fucked off. But he was like totally unnerved by the fact that I'd taken a load of pictures of him. What a cunt. Anyway,
did you say I'm going to put them... You should have said I'm going to put them on Facebook. That was a great story. Honestly, I wasn't sure where it was going at first, but it ended with a bang. Holy fuck, that was crazy.
And I think, do you know what, though? I think a lot of people will think that I'm some sort of psychopath about the way that I handled that situation.
No,
because it was a pretty normal situation.
You're wrong about that.
Right?
I think most people will assume that you're some sort of diva based on how you handled that.
Okay. It was utterly awful. It was imagine hell.
Yeah.
So the flight is like 9 hours. It just drags on. The noise is so noisy. You're so cramped in economy. You're like a battery hen being fed these like little weird biscuits and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I'm not really feeling because I've got like a headache anyway and I'm quite queasy anyway. And this baby's just like screaming over and over. And oh my God. And we're sort of sitting fairly near the toilet, so you sort of get this occasional waft of like... Oh
yeah, like the pucks that they put into the toilet.
Oh, so it was just, it went on and on and on. And I had sort of, I'd run out of stuff to sort of... and what happened, as soon as I sat down in my seat, the guy in the seat in front of me put his chair back
all the
immediately.
Way, yeah.
Right? Like, he didn't even like wait for the plane to take off before he put his seat back, So it was one of those guys where... that seat was back the whole time because the seats in economy are pretty tight.
Man, tell me about
close
it.
Together. So when his seat's back, if you don't have your seat back as well, that screen is like super close to your face, and the TV was slightly broken. Anyway, it was just everything was wrong with that flight. There was this moment where it all happened where I was like, I felt like the worst. I put like the blindfold on, and I think there had been this lull in the babies for like a tiny moment, and I had literally just like had like maybe like 30 seconds or a minute of like peace, okay, where suddenly I was dozing off to sleep and I thought, oh, this is great. And then the baby right next to me just hit like a massive crescendo of just noise. And it was so frustrating. I actually took my blindfold off and I threw it at the baby. I'm not even kidding. I actually did this on the plane.
Okay.
And Bates just turned to me and looked at me. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And obviously the people who, the parents didn't know it was me because a blindfold just came out of nowhere and hit the baby. And so I was just like, I immediately regretted what I'd done. But it was one of these moments where it just boiled over. And I know it wasn't their fault and it's not the baby's fault.
Yeah.
And that baby's probably having just as much problem as I am.
Yeah, you probably traumatized that baby for life. But sometimes...
you just have to throw a blindfold. I frisbeed it and I didn't intend...
Yeah.
I didn't intend to hit the baby, but I frisbeed it across the plane, and it was like, I mean, honestly, Sips, if I'd like spoken to all the passengers in private and we'd come up with like a pact, we would have agreed to like throw that family out of the plane, and then no one would have said, oh, well, we don't know. We would have agreed to keep it all a secret, and we would have all been fine with that. At that point in the plane, everyone in economy was done. It could have been one of these like films, about a group of people who band together to murder someone equally, and every one of them does one stab.
Honestly, that's pretty standard for Parenthood, but just actual crazy people go through with it.
Well, that's the thing. Like when the plane landed, and the sort of crying stopped and subsided.
Yeah,
it was almost like everyone in economy had bonded over some shared traumatic experience, and they were like patting each other on the back, like, "Oh, we made it, guys! Holy shit!" And like everyone was like, "Oh, that baby! Oh, wow, that baby!" They're like making jokes about it, like, "Oh, that baby's gonna be the next X Factor winner!" "Oh, those lungs!" All these like little jokes and stuff. And I was like. I genuinely, because I'm an atheist, okay? You might know this about me. I'm a scientist.
Okay.
I don't believe in heaven and hell, okay? I always used to make jokes, like saying, oh, hell, it can't be that bad, yeah, I'm looking forward to going there. But if hell is sitting on that aeroplane, right, with that baby for another 9 hours, I'm totally going to believe in God. Honestly, so I played Doom when I got back, and where you're going to hell, and I thought, this place is fucking gorgeous. I love it. We went to the pub, and we're drinking all night and chatting with Tom, and it was a great time. It was really crazy. And it got to like 2:30 a.m., and they were like, "Oh, we got work. We got work tomorrow. We better go home." And so they all said, "Oh, should we go to the strip club before we go home?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, sure." And so they were like, "Okay, cool, yeah." It was this. I was like, "Do you go to?" They're like, "Oh, we go to strip clubs in every town. We know if you ever need to know how good a strip club is, we know the strip clubs in every town. And these guys were they were everything.
That's how you get ahead in business, Lewis.
That's where all the big meetings take place.
Strip clubs, Dota. I don't understand how they do it. Everything. What? I didn't get it. Like, because normally it's like one end of the spectrum or another, right? These were the kind of guys that I thought might play a bit of FIFA.
Yeah.
Okay. At lunchtime. But no, they were like full mega nerds.
Well, those are the most likely people that go to a strip club too, right? If like stereotypes and stuff, you know, like big jocks just want to like ogle at girls and play FIFA.
But you know what? I think a lot of it is like whenever I've been, it's always been with a big group of the lads. If we've gone for an away match, like if we've gone for or someone's stag do or something like that. But there was a strip club that we used to go to when we go to a gig up in King's Cross. We go to the Scala up there, and me and my couple of mates would go to this place called the Flying Scotsman, right? Which was a pub in King's Cross. It was a pub that also had a very small stage at the back. And I mean, this stage was tiny. It was like tiny, tiny little triangular stage. And a girl would come around with a pint glass, and you have to put a quid in the pint glass. Anything less than a quid, and they'd sort of give you a load of shit. So to be on the safe side, we'd always put... We'd always put 2 quid in, right? Just so they didn't get abusive.
Right.
So most of the girls...
You got to tip them.
But yeah.
You can't shove pound coins down somebody's underpants either.
No, you need a glass. And I thought that was sensible. I was pleased with that. And obviously in the States, you all have dollar bills, you know, but here it's a quid, right? You can't throw a quid at someone on stage.
Can you imagine like
someone's going to get hurt.
Bulging like G-string full of pound coins? How unattractive is that?
A big wad of pound coins? Or are you happy to see me? Baby.
It'd be like when you go to the beach and get sand caught in your swimming trunks. They sort of hang down like you pooped yourself. That's what it would look like.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So they go around, and most of them, I'll be honest with you, most of them are pretty rough. But there was this one girl who was really, really, really good looking. And most of the guys there were literally waiting for her to come on before they went on somewhere else. Like it was her, you know, she'd come on at about 8 o'clock or whatever. We're in the pub. It's like a really spit and sawdust place. There's no windows. It's all boarded up, so you can't see the girls.
See, all the other men are such regulars, right? That they all know that, you know, what Melinda comes on at like 8, and then they go off and see Shirley at like the other pub. You know, they know the place so fucking well that they're like they're there every day. They're the fucking
they knew it.
Guys on the street working at the coalface of the strip club.
The coalface of the strip industry.
That's right.
Nice. So we're in there waiting for the gig, and we're having a couple of pints, and this song comes on, Talking Heads, Once in a Lifetime, and all the guys in the pub, they're all about our age or slightly older. So this is like their jam, right? You know, we all love this song. Everybody's like singing along to it and everything, which is kind of a weird scene. We're all singing along, enjoying the music, and then they stop the music halfway through for the girl to come on and strip, and everybody starts booing because they've stopped Once in a Lifetime.
Oh my God.
So she comes out on stage to all these boos, and she's like, what the fuck is going on?
Just crying.
So we're all just sort of arms folded, staring at her, waiting for her to finish her dance.
She just thinks it's over.
Yeah,
I'm not attractive now.
My stripping career is in tatters. They're booing
I forgot to take all the pound coins out of my G-string.
It was so sad.
They can see my shame.
Oh man.
So she comes on, she does a dance. Everyone's like, you know, looking at their watches, waiting for her to finish. She comes around, we all give her a quid, and then the guy puts the music back on, and there's a huge cheer. So she must have thought, is my stripping so bad that they just rather listen to the in-pub like music than give me my dues as a stripper? I thought it was kind of sad.
Drink beer and fall asleep by a campfire.
I'm a city dweller, and the idea of being that far out in the wilderness kind of scares me. Even though I'm way more likely to be killed in a big city than I am out in the wilderness. The idea of being stuck in the wilderness and being tracked by some kind of murderous villain.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, most murderous villains aren't prepared to do portage. So, like, if you're on an island, you're probably fine. Like, they probably, because most of them aren't going to be out there anyway, right? They're going to do like what Lewis does. They're going to park up somewhere, walk 10 yards, and just hope that victims present themselves.
I brought my canoe. That unsuspecting family won't even see me coming.
Deepest, darkest Canada at this point on an island, so there's no chance of that happening. Like, it would have to be.
It seems like the least likely place.
Like this weird forest killer would have to have a heck of a lot of time on his hands and a lot of passion for his craft.
Yeah,
to follow us
out to that island. You'd have to respect him at the very end. There.
I would. I'd be like, you know what?
Well played, sir.
I know you're about to like skin my thighs and eat them in front of me and then kill me or whatever, but honestly, respect, man. Holy shit. It must have You must have taken a great deal of effort to get out here and find us. And, you know, some of those holes that I was shitting in, I didn't cover up. So just be careful on your way back.
Yeah. I wonder if he'd be like, you know what? So few people take the time to really appreciate what I do. You've changed my opinion about victims, possibly forever. I'm glad you saw the effort I put into this craft of mine. Anyway,
yeah.
Off with your arms. Hold still, please. Boom. That's how you go out bickering about.
It's the age-old, like it's the climate of fear thing, right? And then, but nowadays, you're fearful of like weird shit. You're not scared that bombs are going to drop or whatever. You're scared of like people who are going to suck total balls at a job, getting into the job and stuff like that. Like that's the new fear that's taken over from like like tangible fears, like, you know, dying because of like an atomic blast.
Yeah.
To just being scared that Trump's going to get in and somehow fucking, you know, cause some problems or whatever by just being a doofus sort of thing.
Doofus. He's such a
that's
doofus.
That's why people are scared nowadays.
I actually love watching him talk because he feels like an imposter to humanity itself. Like the way he talks is like someone who'd been told this was how people talk, but he doesn't actually know on a fundamental level how to talk like a human being. I think he's great. He was in Scotland, and he has this weird way of doing everything where he almost looks into the distance when he says stuff. Like he's so busy. Like they said, "Are you pleased to be back in Scotland?" He goes, "I love it. I'm so happy to be back in Scotland. I love it. Scotland is great. I love it." And he just kind of, but he's not talking to anyone. He's just kind of looking into the distance. Like there's a bird headed for him. Is that an eagle? It's coming right for us.
He's like Rain Man.
It's just so weird.
It just goes off on
an
one.
Eagle is coming towards us.
Did you just drop 25,000 toothpicks on the ground? I'm pretty sure it's 25,000.
No, he just two.
Definitely buy my underpants at KM1.
He's like Rain Man, but not skilled in that.
Yeah,
that's like two toothpicks there.
He's Rain Man with no redeemable qualities whatsoever.
Like, Mr. Trump, there's like clearly over 1,000. There's two toothpicks.
I love Scotland. Did I tell you I love it?
Make the best toothpicks in Scotland. I think if you can't appreciate a woman in her 30s or 40s, I think you're looking at them the whole wrong way. And I think beauty is not just about being a hot 18-year-old nymphomaniac. You know, I'm saying that there are other flavors to the lady spectrum.
It's not all about that, but in some ways it is kind of about that at the same time. Because
sexuality is very fluid.
Yes.
You can be attracted to all sorts of things.
It is if I'm feeling
ponies,
very fluid.
Animes.
Sounds a little.
I mean, at the very end of that spectrum, there's the guys that are attracted to feeding their loved ones, you know, like 20 Happy Meals from McDonald's
Chubby
every
chasers,
day.
Yeah, the feeders
keeping them big,
Yeah, that's not cool. That's not cool.
Sanding down like their like leathery, chafed skin fragments and stuff. Like
it's like you know the way when they make foie gras they force feed those ducks
please
or whatever.
stop.
I'm wondering if they're force feeding the ladies to make them the sexual equivalent of foie gras.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no, because they sit around, Lewis. They're not mobile, right? Because they're fed so much, so their skin chafes big time and gets like all like hard and leathery in spots. And it's really important to like with a like a huge nail file, you have to like sand it down a bit.
I really need to just stop you.
Keep on top.
From going down this path. It's cool. Whatever you're into, keep it to yourself.
That's you know what that is. It's so funny. That's like the typical response that people have when they talk about other people's sex lives. Is they're like, whatever you do in the privacy of your bedroom, don't care about it, but just keep it to yourself. It's like, I don't want to hear or see your alternative lifestyle. Just keep it locked behind closed doors. Underground. Go live underground like a mole and just live there and do what you like. And that's fine by me.
Feed your girlfriend and have sex with her like a mole or whatever, and just shut up. Just don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it or hear it.
Just
I think you're
build a
completely
concrete
wrong.
bunker and live in there, and that's fine by me. Well, how fucking generous. Thank you. I can live in a hole now.
Fine, in that case, let's have a fucking week where we celebrate it. Let's have Chubby Chase Week, right?
You
can
can't
be after
say
Gay
that.
Pride Month, right?
It's not
and
Chubby Chase, it's a feeder. It's a feeder.
Well, no, you got to call it nice, something
we'll
nice.
Feeder Week.
Right?
Oh
They're
my
not
God.
cool with that. We'll have Furries Week, and then
there already is
week.
one.
No,
it's not official, but there is one.
We'll have a week for everyone, okay?
All right.
Then that way there'll be because look, you have to say that you're cool with like these minorities, even if you're not. What a weird thing to say. It's why are we?
If you dig that hole any further, Lewis, you're going to bump into some people you've buried underground.
You're going to bump into a weird mole man feeding his wife KFC and having sex with her.
Pygmies?
What did you say? Where am I going to dig through to? The fucking mole man place?
Yeah. A bunch of mole men in a bunker. Jesus
you
Christ.
told us to keep it to the bedroom.
Oh, there I was, feeding my wife KFC, and in popped some guy's head. We weren't expecting to see anyone down here in the bunker. But
some skinny asshole.
Careful.
We did a road trip. Well, we did many road trips as a family, like when I was growing up, sort of thing. But one of the road trips that we did was we drove from Ottawa to Orlando, which is like
that's a long old way.
2 or 3 days driving.
Yeah.
And it takes you through like all the great eastern states, like New York and like North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, like states like that.
You left Georgia off that list. Not a fan?
Well, I don't remember going through it. It was all a bit of a blur. I was pretty young at the time, but
yeah.
I remember we got into like Florida State, and we were making our way down to Orlando, and I think it just timing wise, I think we had to like stop in Jacksonville or something because it was really late and we had to stay over. Sort of
Not
thing.
a great town.
No.
No offense, Jacksonville, but you're a hole.
But anyway, one thing I distinctly remember being sort of like surprised by, we were driving down, we stopped off at a diner to eat lunch, and we got in there, and it was like, oh, table for 4, because I had like younger brother or whatever. So we sat down, and we were just sitting there like looking at the menus and stuff, and then 2 like highway patrol guys came in, with the fucking aviators and like the weird scout hats and,
big gun holster right now.
Yeah.
They had like the big gun holsters and like these like fucking magnums and stuff. And they walked in and they were, doing like the posturing and stuff. And they're like, oh yeah, we need 2 tables, please. And there's 2 of them. And I was like, I was pretty young. I was like, well, maybe they just don't want to sit together. Like, maybe they just want like to sit at their own tables, like they're on a break or something. Like I didn't get it. So like I watched them. And so they went over like in the corner of this diner, and there was 2 tables, and they both sat at one table. And I was like, okay, well, what the fuck? And then they just started fucking unloading guns onto the other table. Okay, so they actually had a gun table that just had like a shotgun on it from the car, and like all of these guns
taking out they weren't firing the guns. I thought they were firing the guns at people at another table for a second, but no, they were unholstering guns. Okay,
I hope they'd leave a decent tip if they.
They were just like unloading like these guns onto the table.
We're gonna need a table.
And they had like little fucking like boot holstered guns that they took out and stuff, and they just completely de-gunned to sit down and have like coffee, and then there's just like this mountain of weapons on this table beside them. It was fucking weird. And then I sort of said to my dad like, oh, is that what you guys do? Because my dad was like a cop in Ottawa. And he's like, no, we don't have like that many guns. That was Canada. It was like so weird. It was just so fucking weird. Like
Florida cops. How many? So they had like what, 6 or 7 guns each? Like fuck,
it was nuts. It was like I was just like waiting for one of them to just get a bazooka out and put that on, and like it was just crazy. And I think it was the first time that I sort of realized that American and Canadian cultures is very similar but very different at the same time. Like there's just certain things that they do in America that are just so fucking alien to Canadians. And I think the gun table was definitely one of them. It was really weird.
I think the thing about America and especially when it comes to decisions about the police or the military and stuff like that, is it is actually, it's hard to argue with the fact that if you're going to be a cop and there's a potential that you might have to shoot people, you should really have a shitload of guns so that if it comes down to it, your police officer's not going to get killed. Like if you're going to send people out saying, okay, you guys are going out, you'll be like 100 miles from anywhere on a motorcycle, you don't want to just give them a fucking pea shooter. And it all comes around because police just used to have like a fucking revolver, right?
Yeah.
That's all they used to have, just their little 6-shot revolver, pew, pew, pew. And then it's like,
pew,
well...
pew. Yeah, but they started giving them pepper spray. They had the stick as well. You know, they could do those fancy moves with the stick.
But all the thing is, if I've got a gun and you're like, click, click, well... To the stick I go. What are you gonna rush?
Yeah, but you could like, what if it depends what the stick's made of, because you could like Genji that shit, right? You like raw, like deflect the shots and stuff. That'd be pretty good, but
that's the.
No, I don't think. But I just feel happens.
like the American response to any kind of threat is, well, I'm not going out there without a fucking machine gun.
Yeah.
Well, what if they have machine guns? You're right. We better have a tank.
Hey, Sarge, I'm going to need a minigun for this patrol.
No problem.
Just like this.
Check it out. Take it from the machine gun locker. Make sure if you go to a diner, you put the minigun on a different table. It might knock over your sandwich.
We need a minigun table, please. This one is too big to add to the mountain of other armaments that we've brought into the diner today.
Everybody clear out. We got to bring a tank into the diner. You got to park it in the diner.
You guys have any bigger parking spots outside? We got a tank here. It's a police tank, okay? Not only does it shoot shells, but it's got a battering ram to knock down doors for crack houses as well.
And it's hungry.
That's right.
The tank is hungry. We have 2 chicken sandwiches for us and a bacon to go.
Tank is hungry. And then the fucking lady goes out on roller skates. 2 milkshakes for the tank.
Shoving sandwiches down the turret.
Fuck me.
We're going to grow up thinking because they don't understand what Deanna Troi does.
Yeah.
It's tricky. Sorry,
doesn't understand. They don't understand the impact Deanna Troi had on a young man.
Who was it? Someone said to me that if you watch the show with in mind the idea that Deanna Troi has tricked her way on board and actually doesn't do anything and is just like has figured out how to con the captain, that it improves the show endlessly. Oddly enough, Sci-Fi is re-showing the entire series from start to finish, and I've been doing that, and it's ridiculous a number of times.
Wait, Deanna Troi was just meant to be sort of like well, she was like a doctor, right? She was meant to be sort of like...
No, that's Beverly Crusher.
You know, like the feel-good. I know, but she was like a psychologist or something,
but
right?
You know
Deanna
what?
Troi, she was meant to be like...
But she's not funny, and all she says is the most obvious fucking thing possible every time. Every time. I watched this episode. I think it was called like, God, what the hell was it called? It's like a time slip episode. So it starts with them playing cards, like Beverly, Worf, and Data and Riker, and they're playing poker, and they gradually over the course of the episode they start to have this strong sense of deja vu to the point where they know what card is coming next, and they realize,
oh, is that the one where the Enterprise like blows up and then
all hands abandon ship.
And as soon as it blows up, it restarts and they're back. Poker. It's like a Groundhog Day or something.
It's like that, and it was a really, really, really good episode. This is Deanna Troi's. This is what she does in every episode. When the enemy ship, right? So they're at this weird thing. And it's not an enemy ship. The ship comes out of the void and starts heading towards them. Just before that happens, when everything's getting really tense, everyone's like, whoa, what's going to happen? She says to the captain, we should get out of here. We need to leave now. I'm like, yeah, no shit, we need to leave now. I'd say to her, get the fuck off the bridge. If you're not going to do something useful, get out. Like, she's useless. And the number of times they bump into an alien and they look like, Captain Picard, no, we haven't seen the people you're looking for. And she leans over and she's like, I sense that he's lying. Deanna, a child could sense that he's lying. What is your job on this vessel?
Will you stop?
Beam her out, Worf. Beam her into deep space and fucking leave her there. Useless. She's a con artist.
Deanna's only job, the only thing she needs to worry about is looking great. And you know what? She does it effortlessly. She just turns up.
You said effortlessly.
I struggled a bit because actually
she does it effortlessly.
I can feel the juices flowing. I'm thinking about Deanna. I'm thinking about her Starfleet uniform, and I'm just the juices are flowing.
Oh yeah,
I can't even pronounce words anymore.
Marina Sirtis.
I'm feeling lightheaded. You know, like that's it. It doesn't matter what she says. Nobody's even listening. They're just staring at her boobs.
Damn, now I'm just thinking about her boobs. It's the shelf of uniform that exists
so
between
well shaped.
Like, but
honestly,
where the boobs are, then the uniform is like a shelf between them, like a bridge.
her uniform is unique because it's kind of like velvety. Did you notice?
She'd
it's
be
like
soft to the
different
touch.
color.
Soft
it's like
and warm.
a catsuit almost. Oh my god, yeah. I bet you she smells amazing.
Well, two things, right? If you think Deanna Troy's boobs are a big deal, then 7 of 9 is obviously next level stuff.
It's too masculine.
Unbelievable.
I'm thinking of the episode now where Deanna and Beverly Crusher are working out in their lycra in front of a big mirror. They're doing like aerobics exercises whilst the conversation goes on.
I'm
thinking the actresses must have said to the director, "Come on, dude! Like, just leave this to the slash fanfic writing nerds out there on the early internet. Do we really have to do this?" He's like, "Yeah."
It'd be interesting to see like a history of like the ratings of that show though, because like who knows? Maybe they actually did that on purpose. There's like, yeah, we need a bit of a boost. It's the,
maybe
it's the Christmas period. We want more people.
I need a favor. The show's tanking.
We're gonna have to do an exercise scene, ladies.
We're gonna have to go.
Got lycra.
Big titties. I want every episode. Titties.
Yeah, I know. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, Princess Leia and her metal bikini. That was my first crush." For me, I was like, "Yeah, whatever. Princess Leia in metal bikini. That's pretty cool." But man, Deanna Troy.
Yeah. He's a fucking bold wizard, actually.
even more potent.
Honestly, the boldness. You've got so much magic in that head. It's made you go bold.
He's undead. He's a little skeleton guy.
Ah, perfect.
Hey, listen, I didn't realize that you only played vanilla. So you actually missed the glory of the Burning Crusade, and more importantly, you missed the glory of Wrath of the Lich King. Those expansions.
No,
I
got them, and I played them for 10 minutes, and I was like, "What the fuck am I doing with my life?" And I stopped.
Wrath of the Lich King was the golden age of WoW, and you honestly, the best thing about the Pflax that you've missed is the last 2 expansions.
I got
you missed
them.
the pandas,
and
you missed the Draenor.
I did them.
You missed, and Cataclysm was not that great.
It's garbage.
Yeah.
I got them. I mean, we played WoW together, Lewis, for the last expansion, whatever the one was with the barracks and all that. Was that the Draenor or whatever that was?
Oh yeah, Draenor,
we did that. We played. You and I went and did an instance where you were trying to help me out, and you were just running around one-shotting everything, and I was like hoovering up as much loot as I could, and you were like, "Why the fuck do you still have this?" You were looking at my inventory was just. Like what is this item? I was like,
untouched
well, I got it
for like 8 years.
I got it in an instance. You're like, yeah, but that instance was like a level 30 instance. Why do you still have this this sword? I thought, well, it took me a lot of time to get it, so. And I didn't have a fancy flying mount, and I was like slow to catch up or whatever. And it was.
Here's the thing, okay? I think WoW does this to you. Like what you're saying here is really interesting because you're obviously playing the game in an RP kind of fun, casual way, and you're like, hey, look, I liked this sword. I'm going to carry on using it. I had to work hard to get sword. I know it's not very good. It's not got very good stats in it, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, WoW doesn't have the kind of mentality of returning that, and I think that WoW players don't have that mentality. They have the mentality that
they do numbers, now, though.
Numbers is like
right?
min-max is kind of like the most important. I know that, but for example, if we were playing through like an RPG like Pillars of Eternity or Divinity, and I said, "Fuck it, I know this sword isn't the best. It's not going to be the worst though. Who cares? I'm going to carry on." Like you can still play through that game with a slightly nerfed sword. You can still play through that game in a slightly different, harder way. Like RPGs in normally, it might make it slightly more difficult, but it won't ruin the experience. I think that if you're playing at WoW, if you went into an instance with a not optimal sword or something, people will fucking laugh at you and tease you and mock you, and they won't get it.
Do you know what? I think you're right, and I think the system is that you go through some quest early on in your life to acquire your weapon. Gandalf doesn't turn up with a different fucking staff every time. It's like, well, Frodo, bring me my new staff. I'm level 60 now, so I go, oh, Master Gandalf, I've got your new staff. It's +4 to fire damage, not +3. Oh, we must have been max to get into Mordor, Frodo. No, it's the same fucking staff. I feel like the quests you go on should power up that weapon. So your weapon acquires like new legendary status and new deeds that grant it new shit, rather than just... This one is +66, here's +67. Bye bye +66.
Yeah, but that's the new expansion introduced this this sort of like system now where you don't get weapons anymore. You get one weapon. It's like the most insanely powerful weapon you can get. It looks fucking cool. And your journey through the new expansion, basically, you can augment it and make it better with like runes and stuff. It's almost like your weapon has a skill tree.
Yeah, literally what you just said, Pflax, is what they've added. So they've added these artifact weapons. You get it straight away at the start of the expansion, and then you never have to upgrade it. It just upgrades itself automatically, and you can choose special things to go into it.
All right.
Well, I'm just gonna download Legion now, and
I will do that actually. Why not?
I started off reading sort of hard sci-fi, it's so-called,
right?
Because it's more.
Stuff. You just got right into the hard stuff.
Asimov and stuff like that. Arthur C. Clarke.
And it's surprising how Arthur C. Clarke and Asimov actually does hold up today. Like, you know, even though it was written about 50 years ago, it feels like you're still reading some really good science-based sci-fi.
I think they're like, it's quite philosophical, a lot of their stuff. Like Asimov's the rules for robots and stuff. That's actual philosophy. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you can look at that and say, this isn't just the, and then the robot pulled out his cannon arm and fired at Bodega. But Bodega, using his cyborg legs, dived to the left, anticipating the robot's cannon arm, and shot back at him with his las pistol. It's probably good. It's good sci-fi, you know. It's actual...
Please carry on. I'm fucking really enjoying this.
From his homebrew fan fiction.
What happened next to Bodega? Pyrion Bodega.
Tell me more about this Bodega. He sounds great. Does he have a cape?
No, he doesn't.
I hope so.
Bodega shuns capes. He wears a jetpack.
Rightly so.
And Bodega fired his jetpack and shut down the caped fool who was wearing a cape. What? Yeah, but there'll be another one in a second.
I love how we have a little girl who's
trying to
get
his sci-fi on. Jeez.
She's interested in Bodega.
Yeah, she wants to find out about the cape and the jetpack. Jeez.
Oh my God. I love it.
We did one recently. Last time I was in Bristol, and Harry took our, pictures.
Harry,
for
beautiful,
thumbnails.
supple Harry.
Yeah. And I guess it's a way of doing it. But when he got me into the room to take the pictures, they had like all the cameras set up and everything. Like this wasn't like super professional, but you know what I mean. Like it's just pictures for thumbnails sort of thing. And so Harry was like, all right, so we'll just take a normal picture. And then he just started going like really fast. He's like, all right, now you're feeling really sad. Okay, your dog's died. Your wife left you. The car's broken down and stuff. You're really sad. Okay, but now you're happy because it's like went through this whole this whole range, and it was like
he has this list of like
I
emotions.
guess like that's kind of a good way of doing it. I don't know like how I came across in any of the pictures sort of thing, but
I see your thumbnails and I like them. They're good.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, it means a lot. I like having my face plastered on thumbnails like a clown and stuff. That's definitely one of the things I aspired to, when I set off on this great journey of mine through life. And one day that's going to be my clown ass face on a thumbnail, and here I am.
You look great.
Harry's great. Yeah, I saw that. So then he sort of just keeps yelling like all of these like emotions. He's got this long list. You go down. It took about I don't know. It only took about 5-10 minutes.
But what if you're doing that and you hit like a really raw nerve? Like, he's in a good flow and you're feeling it, you're getting the snaps, you're doing the poses, you're taking the pictures, and he's like, your car's broken down, it's raining out, and you've got AIDS. And you're like, what? It just like triggers you so hard and you start for real like having a fucking breakdown and
he's like, get your shit together, and then you're feeling sexy, and then you take your clothes off, and then you're bending over, and then a man's coming up behind you. Then he gets his dick out.
I'm getting excited here.
And he's looping himself up. I don't know why I'm telling you all this.
Yeah,
It's me. And now I'm fucking you. Oh my God. No! It's like,
not
you get too into character.
Yeah.
And you end up getting raped by Harry.
I friggin' love Harry.
Well, jeez. I mean, I love him, but not that much. Christ.
I do. I friggin' love him. Yeah, anything goes.
He's a very attractive man.
Anything goes.
Yeah.
He's a good guy, isn't he? He's a really good guy.